Last week, I started an impossible journey to make $100 an hour playing low-stakes poker. I had a lot of doubters, including multiple in the comments looking to put up real money to bet on my downfall. I really wouldn't do that, you guys, because today we're coming back with a vengeance. In the first episode, we made $48 an hour. That's pretty good, but it's not great. We're gonna have to do better, so I have yet another $1,000 with me to buy in at the 1-3 table. And trust me, you guys, you'll want to stick around to the end, as this is a session of the ages.
I'm gonna see if I can set a absurd goal.
Raise.
And see if I can hit it.
I briefly mentioned to the table how I'm trying to make a bunch of money and I have this lofty goal of my hourly challenge. Not really sure if that was something I should have told the table before the session began, but here we are in the first hand with pocket queens from the +1, and I make it $20 to go. The +2 and the big blind, who goes by Heath, he'll be the main villain in this hand, put in the call, and we're off to a flop 3 ways, which comes King Jack 6 with 2 hearts. Heath checks, I bet out for 25 bucks, and we lose our 3-way when the +2 folds, but Heath continues to put in the call. We're heads up to the turn. The turn now comes the 3 of hearts, completing the front door flush draw. I check my cards and see that I have the Queen of Hearts in my hand, so when Heath checks it over to me, I decide to check behind here. I think I'm gonna get called by a lot of hands that have me beat, such as a flush and a king, so checking behind with a made hand that has showdown value can't be a bad play. The river now pairs the board, bringing in the 3 of spades, and Heath checks it over to me for a 3rd time. I want to go for thin value in this challenge. Every bet could make the difference between hitting $100 an hour or falling short. So I fire out for 15 bucks, Heath calls, and we're gonna win with our queens on this very scary board. In this next hand, I put the $6 straddle out there, and basically the entire table puts in the call. That's what we call Texas heads up, but I don't want that situation with a strong ace-jack suited, so I make it $35 to go, and we get not 1, not 2, but 3 callers, going 4 ways to a flop here, which is pretty groovy on an ace-6 deuce with 2 clubs board. The player on my left bets out for 40, and the player across the table puts in the call. I could either raise or call, and I do probably the worst of the 2 options by just calling, allowing both opponents to see a cheap turn card, which comes the 10 of spades. The small blind now jams for $200. Very interesting play from him. I don't think he would be doing this with a flush draw, so it's either a set or 2 pair, or possibly a better ace that didn't raise preflop. The low jack goes into the tank for a while before ultimately folding his cards. The action's back over to me. It's $200 to call.
I was kind of hoping he called so I could fold, but now I might have to call.
And the low jack was thinking about his decision for a while, but then he ended up folding, so he probably had a flush draw, meaning Ryan in the small blind is weighted more towards value. Ace jack is a good hand, but this would represent a large portion of my stack, and I really don't want to find myself in a hole in this session or in the series, so I wait to find a better spot and I fold my cards, and Ryan turns over an action card, the ace of clubs. I don't really know if I love that, because sure, he could have ace-6 offsuit or ace-deuce offsuit, maybe even ace-10, but more likely than not, it's a hand like ace-5 of clubs, ace-7 of clubs, ace-8 of clubs, so I probably had the best hand, but we'll never know. Ryan just showed 1 card and 1 card only. On to the next hand. This next hand's a funny one. I look down at the ladies from the small blind. There's a bunch of $3 limps. I make it $20 to go. Player across the table puts in the call. There's a jam to 69. Yes, $69. And of course, the button Heath has to call. It's a respectable price, and the action's back over to me with the ladies. What do you do with another player in the hand? Do you just call the 49 additional dollars, or do you put in more money? More money it is, $220 in the middle. We lose both of the other players who were not all in, and we're going heads up with Steven in a $181 pot. The flop comes 10-8-8. Steven has 6-3 of hearts. Yes, come out to the Fort card room. You can see why I decided to do my 1-3 bankroll challenge here, because we love you, Steven, but what the fuck are you doing with 6-3 of hearts? And this was the easiest sweat ever. Queens versus 6-3. It was never a sweat.
It was 69.
I would, but that would hurt my my hourly.
When I find myself in a really good 1-3 game here at the fort, I always take advantage of the 75% match stack. What does that mean? I can buy in for more money. I put $1,000 on the table, and now my stack is hovering around $2,000 when I look down at Ace King of Clubs from the straddle. There's an open to $15 and a call from Heath on my right. In Texas, we play ultimate last action, so it skips me on the button, and it goes over to Sohaib, who 3-bets to $55. This is a dream situation, exactly what the doctor ordered when you put the button straddle on. You want to have a premium hand, allow everyone to do all the betting and raising and calling, build up a huge pot, and then right at the end, when they think you're either going to call or fold, you put a ton more money in the middle. That's exactly what happens. When Sohaib makes it 55, the player across the table on my right calls the 55, and I get to make it $255 to go.
You just want to be on TV, man.
Sohaib laughs a little bit, but ultimately puts in the call. We lose the three-way, heads up to the flop we go, and just a word of note here, the big blind does not have that much more behind, so I'm definitely taking that into consideration. The flop comes queen 4 deuce with no clubs, and he jams for $226. Kind of a gross spot because we have no pair and no backdoor flush draw, but I kind of committed myself to this hand before it even got to a flop, so I gotta put in the 226. I still could be beating hands like King Jack of Diamonds, King 10 of Hearts, 10 Jack of Spades. I mean, the games here in Texas are crazy. Don't judge me for putting in the call here if you think this is a little bit too loose, but I've tossed in the 226 and we're going off to a run out. The cards hit their backs and we see that we had Sohaib in a tough spot pre-flop, but not after the first 3 cards. Ace Queen offsuit, you lucky duck. The turn comes the Queen of Spades. Little insult to injury there. I'm drawing dead, and the river Jack of Diamonds seals my fate. $1,033 going in the wrong direction, but at least it's comforting to know that the action is good here, and through the next 85 hours, I'm in for some juicy games. All right, let's play some poker here. I'm in the +1 with the crabs. I raise it up to 15 and get 3 callers, and the flop comes King 10-6 rainbow. The action checks through, bringing in the 5 of diamonds on the turn, and the action checks all the way around to Sohaib, who was the villain in that last hand, and he decides to take a stab for $30. The small blind now puts in the call and the action's on me. At first glance, this seems like a pretty easy fold. There's a bet and a call. People are obviously interested in the hand, but if we get down to the macro levels here, this just doesn't make too much sense. Sohaib checked the flop, and now he's betting the turn. I think at best here, he has a flush draw, maybe a pair of 10s trying to figure out where he's at. And don't get me started about the small blind. When he checks twice on the flop and turn and doesn't go for the check raise, he definitely doesn't have a set or 2 pair. So, like I said at the beginning of this hand, let's play some poker. I make it 125 to go. If we can get through Sohaib, I'm pretty sure we can win this hand, but if the small blind ends up calling, we'll be in position, and I'm definitely gonna fire a large bet on the river. But it doesn't come to that. Sohaib folds, the small blind picks up his cards and folds as well. A nice little $248 pot coming my way. The crabs, on this kind of a board, I don't think this pot should have been mine. I end up signing some merch for a fan here at the fort, something that happens all the time, but it humbles me every time it happens. By the way, if any of you guys want a signed hat, but you don't live in Texas, go to shopwolfgang.com, purchase a hat, and when you're checking out, leave a comment saying you'd like me to sign it. I'd be more than happy to do so. Remember when I said that thin value could be the difference of me hitting my $100 an hour goal or falling short? Well, this hand is a perfect example of that. I look down at Ace Queen offsuit from the cutoff and raise it up to $55. Cinco de Mayo, let's have a fiesta over a $10 straddle and a few limps. Only the button straddler Sam, who I just signed that hat for, puts in the call. We're heads up out of position on a king queen flop, and I bet out for $20. Sam puts in the call, bringing us off to the 4 of spades turn, and I go for thin value once again and bet out for $30. The logic for going small here is I want to get called by worse hands, worse queens, worse pocket pairs, maybe some straight draws, but if he raises me, I only want to lose the minimum. That's not what Sam does. He puts in the call, leading us off to the 5th card, which comes the 6 of hearts. I debate checking it over to Sam, but instead go for that thin value, $40, milky value bet. He thinks about it for a little while, but decides that because I signed his hat, he has to put in the call. It's a $40 signature coming over my way. He mucks his cards, 314 bucks. Ship it over to me, dealer. Let's go. If you thought the action in Texas was crazy, well, just wait till you see this hand. There's a straddle to 6, a bunch of limps. I make it $35 to go with my second favorite hand, pocket ochos. There's 2 callers of the $35 raise until a player across the table now jams for $100, and I put in the call knowing that nobody else is gonna find a raise. 2 other players call. We're going 4 ways to the flop here in a $412 pot. Come on, Allison, pick me one time. Let's go. 9-6 deuce rainbow. There's an overcard to my pair, but I still feel pretty good about this hand, and I bet out for $55 trying to figure out where I'm at.
Cinco de Mayo. It's a fiesta.
2 Cinco de Mayo. Raises 110.
Remember Sam on my left? Yeah. Well, he didn't forget that last hand. He min clicks me to $110. We lose the player across the table. We still have the all-in player on the right, but for $55 more, I have a backdoor straight idea. I could always turn an 8. I decide to put in the extra $55 and off to the turn we go, which comes the ace of hearts. I check it over to Sam, and with 632 in the middle, he jams for $91. I obviously don't love this because when he bets into 2 other players on the flop and then jams on the ace of hearts turn, he probably has 2 pair or a set at this point. I don't really think he has a draw, but I'm getting like 7-1 on my money, maybe even more. So I put in the call. I know this is probably a losing play, but the price is right, as Bob Barker would say, and we're going off to a river in a 3-way pot here. Sam has, sure enough, a set of 6s. King 7 offsuit from the cutoff. Yes, the action's great here at the fort. I've said it 8 times, but King 7 offsuit preflop. Sam's gonna ship it with his 6s, and $814 is his reward. All right, it's approaching 1 in the morning, and I look around the room and I find a table that's a little bit deeper than mine, so I decide to table change over to it, and we get right into the action with a bomb pot. Yes, here at the fort, every dealer change, and when the button coincides with the bomb pot button, we will play bomb pots. They're double board, PLO, and something that is very important to win if I have any hope of winning $100 an hour over 100 hours. Shout out to my content producer Lucas for coming up with these pretty sweet double board graphics. On the top board, we flop top set on an A7 deuce 2 diamond board, and on the bottom board, we have the nut flush draw on the 10-5-3 2 heart board. There's a $50 raise and 2 calls over to me on the button. This is a great spot. I have top set, I have the nut flush draw, I'm in position the rest of the way. I make it $200 to go, and the original raiser calls, followed by the guy on my right. We're off to a turn, well, should I say 2 turns in a $700 pot, which comes a 10 of clubs, followed by the 4 of clubs. Not the worst card on the top, I still have the nuts, but we don't improve on the bottom. So when it checks to me, I usually am gonna go pretty big in these double board bomb pot situations where I have a really good hand and I have nothing, because at the end of the day, I don't want to chop the pot, I want all of it. I bet out for $555. Will it get the job done? Yes, both opponents fold, which means this $1,255 pot is coming over my way. But before we can even regroup, we find ourselves in another double board bomb pot situation, and a little bit of deja vu where the top board gives me the nut flush draw, and the bottom board I flop another set of aces, but this time I flop myself a beautiful, beautiful full house. I bet out for $30 and I get not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but 5 callers off the 2 turn cards, which come the 8 of spades followed by the 10 of hearts. The action's on me once again, $225 in the middle, and I go almost the size of the pot. I probably should just say pot, but I went 175. Action's on LG, and in between eating a bag of delicious Miss Vicky's chips, he raises it up to $400. Surely that's gonna thin the field, right?
It's time for me to go home anyway.
Absolutely not. 2 players go all in for less before it comes around to me. I'm only losing to quad 3s on the bottom, and I still have just a pair of aces on the top, but I'm drawing to the nuts. I debate coming in for a raise, but decide, let me make my hand on the top and then pile more money in the middle. So I put in the additional $225, and off to a river we go, which comes a beautiful 4 of diamonds. The bottom board doesn't change anything. If we're losing to quads, we still are, and nothing else improves. So as you guys know, pocket 7s is my favorite hand. Let's bet out for $777. Oh wait, it has to be in increments of 5 in this $5 bomb pot. So the dealer tosses me back the 2 white chips, and it's gonna be a $775 bet over to LG. He's the only other player in the hand hand who's not already all in. He thinks about it for a while before ultimately putting in the call. That's exactly what we want to see. We are going to take down both boards when LG shows the 3 of diamonds. He later said that he flopped 3 of a kind on the bottom, obviously, but he had queen jack on the top and then ended up making a flush on the river. So what a disgusting hand. Flush over flush on the top and full house over a set on the bottom. I'm not complaining whatsoever. This is a $3,000 pot. Bomb pots like this are super rare where you're scooping it and taking both boards, but it's definitely something I needed to get me going in the right direction for the rest of this series. That's going to be the last hand for this session. What a crazy one it was. I bought in for $1,000, topped up an additional $1,000, and cashed out for $4,001 over a 6.5 hour session. I ended up booking a $2,001 profit. My total profit is now standing at an impressive $2,273 in just 12 total hours, putting us well on pace for our goal at $189 an hour. If you guys enjoyed this video, be sure to hit that subscribe button to see the rest of the series. I'll be posting 2 videos a week, so you guys have a ton of content coming your way. Click on one of the videos on your screen right now to keep on watching, and as always, good luck on the felt. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace!